I want to talk to you today is a particular subtopic of marketing that just grabbed me. It's called archetypal branding. The theory of archetypes was invented more or less by Carl Jung. The concept is that there is a short list of stock characters that live in fiction of all sorts, legends, movies, the Bible. They're characters that we recognize immediately because they're built into our heads. And when an author wants to evoke one of these characters, all he or she has to do is make a gesture or two, put a cape on the stick figure and it's a hero. You put a crown on and the figure becomes a ruler. We just know about rulers and heroes and innocents, everyman. They're built into our heads. Not only that, but we have to live these characters. We have to express each one of these 12, maybe, or so characters throughout our lives, or we will be incomplete. So when you go to a Star Wars movie and you see the Han Solo character, which is the outlaw archetype, that resonates with you because you have an inner outlaw. And maybe right now you don't feel outlaw, but later on you're going to feel outlaw. And if you die without having lived your inner outlaw, you'll be unhappy. So that's part of what makes the Star Wars movie resonate with us. Star Wars has I love Star Wars as an example because I'm a science nerd, and also because it's got all these archetypes all up in it, right? So Luke, at least at the beginning of Phantom Menace, aka the original Star Wars, was an innocent character. There's Han, the outlaw. He's always running from the law. Plus he's got black leather on, which he's got to be an outlaw with that. Here is Princess Leia being very heroic. There's Obi-Wan being the sage. And of course, Darth, the evil ruler. And of course, they also appear in country songs. These happen to be some of the artists that have recorded some of my stuff. So here's an example of archetypal branding at work. I mentioned Harley Davidson motorcycles. Harley Davidson mostly sells clothing. But everybody has an inner outlaw. So all of you find Harley Davidson to be appealing at some level, right? Even if you don't want to ride a motorcycle, you all have to be an outlaw some days. So Harley Davidson knows this, and they have this whole line of paraphernalia you can get. You don't have to spend $3,000 on a bike. So I'd like to take a little bit of a leap and suggest that there is a scientist who has branded himself in the same way that Harley Davidson has. You heard of this guy? Yes. Richard Dawkins, right? Very well-known scientist. I went to his website the other day, and big letters, it said, "Banned in Turkey," right? So he was very proud that he's banned in Turkey. Why would you be proud unless that was part of your brand, that you were banned in Turkey? And here we have testimony, little bits of newspaper headlines that use the word outlaw. It's pretty obvious. Pirate. And of course, Richard Dawkins is known for his writings arguing against the existence of God. That's a pretty controversial thing. Nike, another classic archetypal brand. Here we have a sports hero who is facing the challenge of getting the ball into that little net thing over there. And he's really, really determined. And that's the essence of the hero archetype. Just like Princess Leia with a gun, all right? You're really determined because you're staring down a challenge. And the hero archetype really appeals to 5- and 6-year-olds who are no longer being cared for entirely by their parents. They're facing challenges that they have to surmount on their own, like tying their shoes and stuff like that. That might be why characters like Superman and He-Man really start to appeal to kids at that age. To science now, a hero. Who doesn't like Hubble? Let's give it up for Hubble. Right? Hubble was born with a birth defect. Someone left essentially a lens cap on while they were machining the mirror. And it's out of focus. It's out of focus by a little bit. Now they've put in optics, of course, heroically, and fixed it up. But it was born with a birth defect, and it rose to the challenge, metaphorically speaking, and surmounted it, and now brings home those beautiful images. So here's an example of an archetypal brand in science, which sort of happened accidentally. But there was talk of canceling Hubble a couple of years ago, and there was a tremendous uproar because that hero archetype really resonates with people. Now, part of the theory of archetypes is that for each one of these 12 archetypes, there's both a good side and a dark side. So, for example, in the ruler archetype, there is a good king, and there's a bad king. And only the good side tends to appear in commercials, right? The dark sides, they make very appealing characters in fiction, but they're not really good for selling a product. Unfortunately, sometimes scientists don't choose their own archetype. The public chooses it for them. Here's an example of a large science project, the Large Hadron Collider, which I think the public pigeonholed into a dark side archetype. I think that this is an example of an evil ruler kind of scientific project. Look at this cavernous maw of a giant machine, right? And one of the things that the Large Hadron Collider was supposed to do was find the God particle. That's a very ruler type statement, right? Unfortunately, the public got hold of this rumor that the Large Hadron Collider also had the potential to destroy the planet. It does not have the potential to destroy the planet. So here's a poor science project that got typecast into one of these dark side archetypes. Then here's another example, my last example. The sage. There is a good kind of sage. These are not the droids you're looking for. And there's a bad kind of sage, the know-it-all sage, right? Well, science nerds. We're the bad kind of sage. I mean, so often in Hollywood, that's the label that we get as scientists. And it's partly our fault, I want to suggest, because we have been passive about choosing the part that we want to play. So my message for the scientists in the room and friends of scientists in the room is choose a part that you're going to play, or it might be chosen for you. And thanks, everybody.